Yes, the Vikings offensive line. The Minnesota Vikings need to acquire at least one starting caliber offensive lineman this offseason, ideally to replace guard Dakota Doja, which please don't come back. It's been real, it's been fun, it is not real fun. Deuces. Fixing that hole on the offensive line will give Kirk Cousins time to do Kirky things, hopefully good Kirk things. Let Dalvin run for 2,000 yards, and in general, just make life that much better. Plus, Bradbury being flanked by two competent guards for the first time in his career would be really a nice change of pace. So, we've been thinking, how do you go about doing it? And yes, of course, the draft. Everything is about the draft. Lifeblood of the NFL. Good teams draft well. But the Vikings, yeah. Recently, meh. And the Vikings should definitely add offensive line depth in this draft class, especially with 12 projected picks. But you look at the class, and there's a lot to like. But who do you trust starting week one? Elijah Vera-Tucker, sure, but you have to get him at 14. Maybe you trade down, but that's not always a guarantee. Landon Dickerson for sure, but you'll have to maneuver. He's probably going to be a late first round, early second round pick. Wyatt Davis, no matter what, might be starting the year on the pup. And Creed Humphrey might be better suited for center rather than kicking him to guard. So that's it. That's really about it. 4. And no, I do not consider Rashawn Slater a guard. He's never played it down inside. Plus, he has anchor issues. He's a left tackle, so let's knock it off with that nonsense. Or maybe you take like Tevin Jenkins or Mayfield or Darisaw and you kick him into guard. No, we're talking about specifically interior offensive linemen. That's it. That's about 4 starters that you feel comfortable with week one. The rest are late day 2, early day 3 guys. So we've come to the conclusion that the Vikings need to clear that cap space. Well, about my money. And go hard for a guard in free agency. And after signing Weatherly and cutting Tankersley, Tay Hayes, and Kyle Rudolph, Vikings that are about $187.3 million in the top 51 cap liabilities, and whatever the salary cap is going to be, rumored to be 183, they still have some work to do to clear that space. But it can be done. Hashtag Cap's a myth. We've talked about all the ways they can do that. And they need to do it because look at this freaking free agent guard class. So you got Jumpin' Joe Thuney at the top. You got Brandon Scherf if Washington doesn't franchise tag him again. Kevin Zeitler and Andrew Norwell. So they got asterisks because it's rumored that they're being shopped and probably are going to be cap casualties. You could also put David DeCastro of the Steelers on there as well. Gabe Jackson has been cut. John Feliciano, the Bills, is going to walk. Austin Blythe, the Rams. Ethan Pausic, who I love, coming out of LSU by way of the Seahawks. Nick Easton's already on the market. Former Viking, meh. And also Forrest Lamp. I love Lamp. Is out there as well. And there's a whole bunch of others who are going to be cap crunches. Like next week is going to be bloody as teams try and free up cap space. And the Vikings need to come away from March with at least one additional starter on the offensive line, probably a guard. And it doesn't have to be Thuney or Scherf or Gabe Jackson or Kevin Zeitler or Andrew Norwell. Like it doesn't have to be all pie in the sky. Woo! All in $14, $15, $16 million per year on the guard spot. They don't need to do that. There's certainly enough options out there, and there's a lot of supply. Even though there's a lot of demand, the Vikings can come away with one serviceable starter. Because I love John Feliciano of the Bills, former Raider. I just love that attitude. That's Miami. That's the U being the U, baby. Plus, Austin Blythe, former Iowa Hawkeye, would be a solid scheme fit for the Vikings. Also could play some center in case Bradbury doesn't work out. Plus Ethan Pausic is a stud. And you could probably spend $5 to $6 million per year and get a serviceable second wave free agent starting guard. And there's nothing wrong with that. Plus, it may sound weird. I want the Vikings to sign a guard in free agency over drafting one to start right away because I do not trust offensive line coach Rick Dennison. I just don't. I don't know why he is still here when Gary Kubiak is no longer here. I don't trust Dennison to develop young offensive linemen, especially guys that have to start right away. So, no, sack up, pun intended, and spend the money on someone you know is already good, as opposed to someone who could be good, and then you're trusting Dennison to bring them along. Nah. And then if you look at the Vikings' recent history of signing free agent guards, so 2019, Josh Klein coming over from the Titans, 3 years, 15 and a half. It would have worked out, but they just cut him in 2020 for no reason. 2016, Alex Boone lasted 1 year, eventually was supplanted by Nick Easton. That big money free agent deal didn't work out. 2011, so 2 guys brought in and divergent careers. Charlie Johnson from the Colts was an August signing. Joe Berger was a career journeyman and turned into, frankly, the Vikings' best offensive lineman of the 2010s. Like, he was the best O-lineman of the decade. And then 2007, 6, of course, the famous Steve Hutchinson from the Seahawks. 7 years, $49 million. The poison pill, and that's certainly worked out swimmingly for the Vikings. So, I mean, they're 50-50 on big-time blockbuster guard deals. May as well make it 3. But you don't even have to do that. I mean, you can bring in a guy on a Josh Klein-level deal, and he can be solid. Or hell, bring back Josh Klein. I don't care. Plus, if you sign a free agent guard and you're going into the draft with your offensive line already tentatively set of Riley Reef, free agent TBD, Bradbury, Ezra, and O'Neal, that really frees up what you can do at 14 because you're not just like, I got to draft an offensive lineman. No, you don't have to force things. You can 100% go BPA. So if that's tight end Kyle Pitts, great. If that's Devontae Smith if he falls, great. If that's cornerback J.C. Horn or safety Trevin Moehrig or linebacker Micah Parsons or a quarterback, great. You can take advantage of a really good player falling if there's a run on quarterbacks or wide receivers. And you feel okay not going offensive line at that spot. Because if you don't trade back into the second round, it's a long way to 78, son. And the offensive lineman you get at 78 might not be ready to start week 1, or you wouldn't feel as comfortable as you would a free agent guy that you brought in. But that also shouldn't preclude you from going Slater if he falls there, or if Darisaw is the guy on the top of the board, go get him, your future left tackle. Or if Elijah Vera-Tucker is the dude, sure, go ahead and take him. But you need to go into the draft with options and flexibility, because when teams get in trouble, and we've seen this with the Vikings before, 2011, Christian Ponder, 12, is that when you need to draft a certain position and you have no other options, no contingency plans, and then they have to start day 1, that's when you get in trouble. That's when you get in trouble. So sign a free agent guard. Again, doesn't have to be Thuney, doesn't have to be Scherf. Be kind of awesome if it was, though. But come away with one competent starter and then go into the draft and then go BPA. Let's go. Let's get things going. But your thoughts? Vikings need to come out of free agency with a starting guard. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, post something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.